With the festival of summer gaming now coming to a close, and with all the holdouts, cough cough, Nintendo, cough cough, finally showing up, let's talk about video game showcases, directs, forwards, etc., whatever you guys really want to call them. But more specifically, let's talk about what makes a direct, a showcase, or whatever a good one. In the past, we had E3. These presentations were handled very differently. You would go head to head with all the other developers and publishers in the industry, all within the same window. If you wanted to stand out, you had to go big to make a difference. And if you held more of a stinker show, if your show wasn't really up to the rest of the pizzazz, then it would kind of just go less noticed. You kind of wouldn't really talk about it. It was just, hey, they didn't do good this year, but they'll try again next year. But it didn't really have the same weight and gravity that it does now, I think. But now, in the year 2023, E3 is officially dead, if you ask Jeff Keighley, of course. In a post COVID, more digital world we live in these days, developers and publishers have now found the confidence to hold their own showcases. And for the most part, I would say this is better for the consumers, it's better for the devs, and it's better for the publishers. With all that being said, however, not all showcases are built the same. Capcom regularly has a very lackluster event. Ubisoft Forwards should really be called Assassin's Creed Forwards, and Jeff Keighley's own presentations can sometimes be bloated and almost unnecessary at times. Now, even though these more specific publishers or developers' presentations don't always hit the way we would want them to, we can always count on the big three. We can always count on Sony, Xbox, and Nintendo to deliver what those specific gamers want on those specific pieces of plastic. But can we really? Something that was made very apparent in the year 2023 is that Nintendo, Xbox, and PlayStation have very different ways of presenting their product to their consumer. They have very different focuses and very different cadences. The one thing I will say above them all is that Nintendo is the only one that remains consistent. I feel like Nintendo Directs, for better or for worse, are at worst mediocre, at best phenomenal. But they're never the stinkers that PlayStation has sometimes or that Xbox has sometimes. They're always consistently at a level that we come to expect from Nintendo Directs, and they always come out with a specific cadence that we just have to acknowledge and respect from the big end. And this would make sense because from the earlier days, Nintendo was a very early adopter of this style of presentation. Nintendo Directs can date back all the way back to 2011. So with a little under a decade of experience over the competition, it makes sense that they would have mastered the formula by now. If we were to compare the three major platforms events, they contrast very differently, but most noticeably is their cadence. Nintendo kicked off their show with DLC for their biggest game of 2022, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Now, personally, that's not my cup of tea, but I have to acknowledge that Pokemon Scarlet and Violet is a huge game. So there's definitely an audience for that DLC out there, a huge audience. So even if Pokemon Scarlet and Violet isn't your thing, we have to acknowledge that that is coming out with guns blazing. They're showing off something big at that point. In that presentation of DLC, they showed us gameplay. They showed us release windows. They showed us what to expect from that DLC, for better or for worse. They don't hide it, and I think that's one of the things that you gotta applaud Nintendo. For better or for worse, they're gonna show you what they're gonna get when you're gonna get it. If you move over to PlayStation, on the other hand, they kicked off their show with Fair Games, a CGI trailer of a live service game nobody knows anything about, from a development team we know little about. So, I ask you, PlayStation, what do you want us to do with this information, with this trailer? Are we supposed to be excited? Are we supposed to be overjoyed with this? The Fair Games trailer shows us no gameplay, very little story. All we know is that it's a live service game coming out sometime in 2024. A very wide range of release date is never really that reassuring to us because we don't know when we're going to be playing this game, honestly. 2024 could easily be the end of 2024. Hey, it sometimes could even be early 2025. So just because you give us a really large release window does not mean you really targeted in on a specific day that you want to drop your game. And that doesn't make me want to be confident or excited about that game. Now, Xbox did better. I'll give them that. Xbox did a lot better than PlayStation. Xbox kicked things off with an in-game trailer of Fable. Fable is an iconic Xbox franchise that no longer really holds the same clout that it once did. But most importantly, in this trailer is they didn't give us a release window. So, there's been a lot of knock on this for people saying that they didn't show us gameplay. I get that. I don't think that was really supposed to be the gameplay trailer, though, to be fair. The thing that bothers me the most about that Fable trailer was that they didn't give us any release window, which means you don't know when, and you don't want to make any kind of promises as to when this game will be coming out. Why in the hell are you showing me this trailer in 2023 if you don't even know when your game is coming out, or even vaguely know what kind of game is or at least vaguely know when it's coming out? Those are the things that really bother me with PlayStation and Xbox sometimes. So as each presentation drags on, they always run into like a lull. And even Nintendo's not immune from the lull. They have big lulls. And in this specific presentation, their lull came in very early on. Probably 20 minutes in is when people are starting to be like, yo, is this really the presentation we're getting? But then what does Nintendo do? Right when you're about to check out, right when you're ready to go look for something else to watch, they drop Super Mario RPG Remake, which, I mean, sure, it was kind of rumored, but just when you actually see it, it looks so unbelievable. There's no way any rumors could have prepared you to see what you saw, and you're just overjoyed and excited if you're a Mario fan, if you're an RPG fan, if you're someone who loves Super Mario RPG, or you've only heard of it. Again, it's something that kind of gathers us all around and rejoins ourselves within this trailer. It keeps us engaged again. It is a phenomenal remake trailer that shows us gameplay. It shows us release date. It shows us exactly what we're going to come to expect from this and when we can expect to be playing it. If you look over to PlayStation, when their lull starts to deepen, they start to double down on their live service games that people do not really care about. So again, it's just dragging on with a lot of the same thing over and over again. Yes, they're different art style live service games, but they're all PvP or PvE style shooter games that, again, nobody's really asking for. And if you want to talk about their remake trailer of Metal Gear Solid, that was an awesomely hyped trailer. Don't get me wrong about that. Everyone was praising how Metal Gear Solid looks amazing and they can't wait to play it. Again, the question is, when will we be playing it? What will it look like when we playing it? Who is developing the game? People were asking. And not to mention the fact that it was very widely rumored. So it was very much expected that we were going to see Snake in this presentation, in this showcase. And at the very least, we would have expected to see some kind of actual gameplay of Snake, but we didn't see that. So again, it kind of ruins the hype of the game, specifically with that trailer. Now, if we move to Xbox, they showed off things like Avowed, which looks fantastic, but just a really large release window again. Sometime in 2024, we'll be playing Avowed. Cool, I guess. That's better than no release date, or no release date window. But still, it doesn't really give me a target as to when I can expect to be playing this. 2024 it could be really close by. It could be a couple months away, or it could be a whole 12 months away. You know, there's just such a large release window that it doesn't really get us hyped for. We do gotta credit them for giving us gameplay though, and giving us story, and really giving us what to expect when we play the game. It's just, again, start showing me games with more concrete release dates, and I'll be happy. It also sucks that I feel like Avowed was very much expected, so it didn't really hit with that same kind of thunder that we come to expect. A lot of the Xbox's games have been shown off a couple years ago, so it's kind of more not really expected, but more demanded that they show us things. So it kind of doesn't really feel like, yay, Xbox is showing us really cool games. It feels more like, finally, you update us on the games you told us we were going to be playing by now. And then from this point on, Nintendo just starts dropping crazy game after crazy game, keeping the hype going, keeping the hype train flowing. And you know, I mean, the thing that Nintendo does really well is that they keep us surprised We don't never expect the things that come from our Nintendo Directs. We always see tons of gameplay. They're just showing us exactly what to expect from these games, and that's what you come to expect from Nintendo. And most importantly, they're riddled with release dates. You know what you're getting, when you're getting it, and how you're gonna play it. Now, if you want to move on to arguably one of the most important things of a showcase, of a direct, is that one last thing. That final thing that puts the cherry on this, that says everything else amazing. This is just a chef's kiss to finalize this presentation. Nintendo kicked things off with a 2D Mario game. Now, anyone who's been playing Nintendo for a cool couple decades now, 2D Mario game doesn't really excite us too much. When you hear it on paper, a new 2D Mario game, whatever. But when you see it, bam, that shit blows you up. Your mind is gone from what you saw, and it is just phenomenal, from the art style to the gameplay to the different power-ups to the mystery that you're like, whoa, this is a 2D Mario game, but there's something much more in this, something deeper that I need to figure out. So those kinds of things that make you say, whoa, 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 what was that what was that last trailer you just showed me? Go back to that, show me more of that. Not to mention release dates. I mean, Nintendo, round of applause. You know what the gamers want. We want to know what we're playing, when we're playing it. You move over to PlayStation. They showed off Spider-Man 2. And Spider-Man 2 looks like a fantastic game. Phenomenal game. Love the game when it comes out. I'm going to be playing it day one. Your one last thing shouldn't be the most expected thing on the showcase. No one out there making PlayStation prediction videos that was saying Spider-Man 2 was not going to be here. Everybody, their mama, their uncle, everyone was saying Spider-Man 2 is going to be there. So it was just too expected. So it didn't really drum up as much hype, I think. It also ran a little long, but that's a story for another day. And most egregious about that Spider-Man 2 trailer was there was no release date. You knew the release date and you didn't even announce a release date at your own show. You waited till Jeff Keighley Summer Game Fest for whatever goddamn reason you did that for. Again, could have been a perfect style trailer if they just had a release date on that. Most egregious of them all, Xbox. Their one last thing needs so much work, because they ended off their pretty good showcase with the new hardware, which isn't like the new Pro system. No, it's just an extended storage to the Xbox Series S console, whatever. And then to top it all off, they're just like, hey, go watch the Starfield Direct now. Your one last thing can't be another Direct. It can't. Your one last thing is reserved for that big POW game. You could have had like Clockwork Revolution there. Everyone would have been excited about that. You could have even had South of Midnight there. I think people would have been excited about that more than just saying, hey, stick around for another Direct. That's not a one last thing announcement. Whatever. So if Nintendo has taught us one thing about these Directs, these showcases, these new styles of presentations that these other developers, publishers, whatever, need to learn, is that we as gamers want something very specific. We don't want a commercial. We want a trailer that shows us what the game is going to look like, how it's going to play like. Give us a little bit of story. Give us when we're going to be playing these games, because that's the most important part. Why are you telling me that, hey, we're starting development on a game you're going to play 5-6 years from now? By then, the hype is gone. Nintendo games sell really well immediately out the gate. Why? Because they say, hey, this game that looks cool, 4 months from now, you're going to be playing that shit. And people gather up and line up to buy that. I gather up to buy those games, and I am excited for it. So, again, PlayStation, Xbox specifically, get your shit together. Stop showing me games that we're going to be excited to play 5 years from now, or 4 years from now, or 3 years from now. Show me something that I can play today, tomorrow, next week, next month, sometime within this couple months. That's what presentations are supposed to be doing. Showing me what I'm going to be playing, like, now. It was like literally just 24 hours ago, everyone was saying Nintendo has no games. And in literally a day, everyone's like, Nintendo has too much games. That's a Nintendo problem. That is awesome. That is amazing. Round of applause. Mad props to the Big N, to Papa Mario out there and his whole team of staff. You guys really get it. You understand your consumer base. And I'm excited for anyone who's a fan of Nintendo Switch. I'm a fan of Nintendo Switch, so I'm excited. Anyways, you guys, it's been a fun video. My name is Christian. Do me a favor and like this video if you guys enjoyed this video. Dislike it if you hate it. Please consider subscribing, as it does help me out tons. Consider watching some of the other videos if it interests you. And with that, I'll see you guys on the next video.